Hello, I'm Chris Williams from Read Comics They're Bad For You, the name of my YouTube channel. Or if you're watching this on Library or BitChute, the name of my channels on those websites is Comic Freak. We're going to be talking about Harrison Ford today, and has this old actor put his foot in his mouth when he came out and said that he believes in climate change and we must do something about it. Other people have been basically ridiculing him, and this article is not doing him any favors, with it being called Crazy Old Man Barks at Clouds. But let's read this article and see what's up with it. Harrison Ford has been my favorite actor since the 1970s. Today that changes. I am simply no longer willing to finance this kind of nonsense, no matter who it comes from. Breitbart reports on recent comments from Harrison Ford regarding the great global warming hoax. After Harrison Ford used a publicity appearance in Mexico City tied to a new Disney movie to praise Greta Thunberg and trash the United States, saying that America has lost its moral leadership in the world, Ford was in Mexico City this week to promote his latest movie, The Call of the Wild, based on the classic novel by Jack London. While speaking with reporters, the actor addressed environmental issues while also slamming American leadership under President Donald Trump. Our position in the world is tenuous because of our lack of moral leadership, basically, he told reporters. Not from what I'm seeing. Everyone who's ever said that our position is tenuous in the world is basically in the pay of these large corporations who basically want to use environmental issues to dictate how people in the world live, and I just can't really cotton to that. Ford went on to talk about a young environmental activist, including Thunberg, the 17-year-old climate activist from Sweden who has become a darling among the elite in Hollywood. I certainly applaud Greta, her activism, her role in representing the interests of young people, and I admire her courage, her fortitude, and also admire her capacity to express herself, he said. Science is being ridiculed by people in ideological campgrounds. They are refusing the wisdom, the discipline of science in favor of a political point of view, and that has to stop. And I believe young people throughout the world know that. It has to stop and are capable and willing to make the sacrifices to make that happen. You know, Harrison Ford, people could argue that point to you, that you don't respect science, because climate science has long been ridiculed that it's unreliable and that it basically doesn't match up with the data that people are gathering, not just from climate scientists, but also scientists who study different disciplines. And they say the data, the people who push climate change just doesn't make sense. He added, I applaud Greta's part in the leadership of young people, and I consider the threat to the natural world as the single biggest threat to humanity. In September, the Raiders of the Lost Ark star appeared at the United Nations Climate Action Summit in New York, where he gave an impassioned speech that focused primarily on the fires that were consuming large sections of the Amazon forest. During the speech, Harrison Ford praised young climate activists, saying that their generation has been failed when it comes to the environment. They are a moral army, and the most important thing we can do for them is to get to the hell out of their way, he said. What utter and complete trash that Harrison Ford is now spewing. He's old, and I have been told that most actors are stupid, and this pretty much just proves it. Has he even ever talked to any of these climate activists? If he did, then he knows that Greta Thunberg was basically just used as a over-glorified bullhorn to spout her parents' ideological agendas to the crowd. That's what she is. And this guy is taking that opinion as real, when he can clearly see and probably has heard that her parents were coaching her to say that. What Harrison Ford doesn't understand about genuine science is that it's not a religion. There is no such thing as refusing science in the same way that one can be an infidel, a heretic, a heathen, an unbeliever in religion. There is no such thing as belief in science. Science is based wholly on experimentation, observation, and augmentation, while religion has rigid dogma that must not ever be questioned. Genuine science is wholly dependent on skepticism and routine questioning, particularly the questioning of authority figures, something that has generally been forbidden. Unlike religion, science can be and routinely is completely dead wrong. There's no question that today's despots seek to use science in the same way that the despots of old used religion, to impose their will upon the unwilling and the disinterested, but genuine science is not dependent on authority for any of its findings. So these kinds of activist attempts at control reveal the efforts to be based on pseudoscience at best. Yep, that is completely true. And if you remember, about 10 years ago, there was a leak of emails that basically proved that a bunch of climate scientists were only in this for the money, and they were pulling their efforts to make their research look like it hooked up to what people were saying about climate change. That just shows you that scientists themselves can be greedy bastards that will do anything for money and will say anything. That's why you have to be wary of these people that push this pursuit of science. At best, you're going to get a greedy jerk. At worst, you're going to get an ideologue that could be, well, crazy. Because of this, modern-day science is in an extremely bad state, with the discipline having been overrun by idiot political activists who think they are going to save the planet like some kind of superhero. As such, the content in today's scholarly journals and studies should be viewed with extreme caution and skepticism. True science is utterly dispassionate and does not swing with the moods of impassioned activists or their trite political fashion trends. As far as the teenage grid is concerned, this demonstrates one of the primary problems with SJWs and their moronic ideology. They're willing to heed the wisdom of someone who has been on the planet for 17 years and who hasn't even completed what passes for an education in the modern era. Imagine taking the advice of a teenager on the budgeting of your home, or the purchasing of a car, or retirement options. Only an SJW dimwit would think that the inexperienced and naive and uneducated would have special insight to offer. But someone needs to do Greta a favor and get the following video in front of her eyes. Since she's so far too young to have remembered any of this, oh yes, I dare. The video this guy is talking about is the 70s news special that was hosted by Leonard Nimoy on the impending ice age that was going to happen during the 70s. Back then, well, they don't talk about it much now. They talked about the oncoming years that there was going to be an ice age that was going to freeze the entire world and force us all to the equator. But nowadays, it's all about climate science and how everyone's going to end up drowning when the ice up in the Arctic and the South Pole, well, melt. And we will all end up having to live on boats and basically live like barbarians. At least that's what they were talking about now. Back then they were talking about us all living in ice age. So I guess if this was still the 70s, we'd have to be looking to invest in winter coats, huh? But now, we have these people who constantly change their stories because they're basically backed up by corporations who think this will allow them to control people, but it won't. They're learning, the corporations, now that you can't basically control people with stupid little scientific tidbits like this because it's, well, so cool. It's so trendy. It's stupid. People don't want to hear these lies. And people will revolt against it, and they will find the truth, and they will make this known to their friends and family and everyone else around them, and people will stop listening to you. In fact, you're looking at something like a revolt by people who no longer want to hear any of these lies. They will revolt. They'll not buy any of your products if you're working for a corporation and you're pushing these sorts of things. If you're working for a government, they'll vote you out because they don't want to have their freedoms limited by a bunch of people who think they can use this, all this hype and all this hysteria to control people. No. You have no idea what you're doing. And if you continue to do this, you are going to have your butts kicked. Because real science doesn't back up any of your claims, and we will not have you control us over lies. We will talk to each other. We will educate others as well, and we will keep resisting you until you realize that this is completely pointless and that you can no longer control us with agenda politics and propaganda, because everyone can see what you're trying to do, and, well, it's not going to happen. Just try and sell your products to people after they've been woken up about all this climate crisis bull. They won't buy any of your products, and these corporations will eventually fall because no one will be buying into them anymore. If you like this video, subscribe. Make sure you're still subscribed because YouTube is going around unsubscribing people, so make sure you're still subscribed. If you're watching my videos but you're not subscribed, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Read Comics They're Bad For You. Then I want you to go over to BitChute and as well as go over to Library and subscribe to my channels on those websites. They're both under Comic Freak, so it'll be easy to find. Hit that bell for notifications, hit that like button, and leave some comments down below. Please also, could you share this video? Share it on Twitter, share it on Reddit, and share it on Facebook. Share it anywhere you think it'll do the most good because YouTube is not going around promoting their own YouTube creators anymore. So please, share this video. Now listen closely. It's that time of the day again. It's plug-in time. Keep checking back in all my future videos for more information on my own upcoming independent comic book scumdogs. I'm Chris Williams, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another video or review.